Let me start the questioning by saying that I've heard some of my Republican colleagues talk about free market capitalism. Mr. Mabrook, isn't the entire pharmaceutical industry based on government-granted monopoly power? And Mr. Amir, you may want to also speak to that. What does that have to do with free market capitalism if the government is guaranteeing monopoly for many, many years?
Well, precisely, Senator. Prices are high because drug makers have monopolies over products we can't just substitute. A patient can't just say, "I'll take this alternative." The patents block them from having affordable access. So that is a monopoly, not a market system. American taxpayers stand up the world's largest and most productive funder of biomedical R&D at NIH, and it's we the people that found the risk that we the people that support the risky early stage research that has led to such significant medical breakthroughs in the areas of mRNA, cancer, heart disease, gene therapy.
In other words, the government has played a very active role in the entire process, Mr. Mead. What about free market capitalism and monopoly?
Well, I mean, it's the Constitution grants Congress the power to promote the progress of science and useful arts, securing for limited times a right to their inventions. What we have now is a system where the patent system is not a limited time, it's a monopoly that gets extended. And when we think about the free markets and the principles of capitalism, it's interesting, Senator Paul mentioned Milton Friedman. In fact, the neoliberals actually didn't like monopoly power, and they really did actually believe in the free market, but the fact that the intellectual property system, patents, has been corrupted by the modern pharmaceutical system to kind of extend those monopolies actually goes against the principles of free market. So, in a sense, they're not living up to the bargaining of the free market.
Okay. Mr. Lakdawala, what do you think about free market capitalism and government protection of monopolies?
Thank you, Chairman. Well, truly free markets exist only on the whiteboard in my classroom at USC, first of all. But it's also true that without patent protection, there would be no innovation. That's a result that's been known in economics for centuries. So the real question is, how do we balance patent protection, which induces innovation, against the value of new innovations and being able to broadcast them more widely after the end of a patent? And that trade-off can be tricky, although in the case of pharmaceuticals, we have a useful instrument, which is health insurance, and that allows patients to access drugs at much lower prices than what manufacturers receive, even during the patent period. And that's an opportunity for us to expand accessibility even during the patent protection period.
Thanks very much. All right, my last question for all three of you is, I believe you all heard the CEO's testimony in response to questions. What would you say, briefly, about their responses? Did they, in fact, effectively address the issue as to why we pay by far the highest prices in the world for prescription drugs and why 1 out of 3 people can't afford the medicine their doctors prescribe? Just, sir.
Well, Senator, we heard some wild stuff up here this morning, including a lot of blaming middlemen for the problem of high prices. Look, drug makers' high prices are the whole reason that we have a middleman problem. It's because we have exceedingly high prices at the outset that there's an attractive market for middlemen to enter. But the fish rots from the head. If you break up the market, if you look at where the revenue is, drug makers capture 2/3, $323 billion. Pharmacy benefit managers are a small slice, $23 billion. So you can't fix the problem of the pharmaceutical industry by going off middlemen who are just trying to skim off the top. You have to get to the root of the problem, which is the monopoly power.
Mr. Amin?
I agree with what Peter says, and I would just add that some of the answers that the CEOs gave, for example, the Merck CEO about allowing biosimilar competition in when their primary patents end, I believe that is not going to happen. I think if you look at all the patents that they've stacked up, they know what their game plan is. You just have to look at what happened with Humira and AbbVie. Similarly, I believe you just look at what's happening with these weight loss drugs. We're looking at the patents on those now. These are potentially going to become $1 trillion drugs.
Okay, Dr. Lakdawala, pardon me for...
No problem. No problem. I think an important point that maybe is often missed is that net prices of pharmaceuticals have been falling for the past 10 years very consistently. CMS recently released its National Health Expenditure Accounts data, and it confirms this fact as well. We have to reconcile that with rising costs for consumers, and so I think intermediaries are actually playing a bigger role than it might appear. About 40 cents of every dollar spent on pharmaceuticals goes to intermediaries, and unlike pharmaceutical firms, they're not engaging in innovation that ultimately improves health.
Good. Thank you very much. Senator Cassidy?